Hey, what's up, everybody? It's the Fantasy NBA today, and today it's the GOATs, it's the OGs, it's Hall of Famer Steve Alexander. I'm Rick Kamla, and we're ready to go here, man. So, guys, let me tell you about our awesome sponsor, Bet Online, and then we are going to take a deep fantasy dive with scuba gear and the whole dang thing with the Milwaukee Bucks and the LA Clippers, two very interesting teams. BetOnline, there are homies. All right, BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all your sports betting action. With baseball season in full swing, we're deep into the NBA and NHL finals. BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news and scores, even live in-game betting while the games are being played. We keep the dog days of summer rolling with the largest selection of odds on everything, with updated odds on MLB, UFC, boxing, tennis, NFL futures. BetOnline remains the best online source for all your sports wagering info and in-between games. Head over to the BetOnline casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and a live casino. BetOnline, the game starts here. Doc, we begin with the Bucks with the fantasy MVP. Who was that guy for this team?
I think we can both agree on this. There's not much debate. Giannis Antetokounmpo had a monster year, and it just occurred to me when we were talking about this off the air. I don't think I've ever drafted Giannis and had him on a fantasy team. What do you think about that? Is that weird?
I think that's wild and crazy. I do. And your free throw percentage shaming him.
It comes
if only.
The point two threes, combined with the 10.5 free throw attempts, combined with the 62% shooting, just make it very difficult for me to say, okay, I'm going to draft this guy and lose free throws every single week and maybe threes.
Dude, I understand. He's an odd fit. You've got to. Giannis is a jacket it's not like one of those bubble North Face ones where you just put them on and it's like, oh, it feels so good, like it just like it. Dude, are you serious right now? Giannis is just kind of a different jacket, maybe a tight fitting jacket a little bit. It's just different, right? Because I'm with you, dude. Like, I don't care about the free throw percentage, but I do want my first round pick banging some threes, bro. Like, usually, but 30, 12, and 6. He's my fantasy MVP as well. And he's basically 1-1. He was 1.2 blocks, 0.9 steals last year. So he's pretty good in the defensive stats. Probably, Doc, I'm just riffing off the top of my head. The best PRA guy in the league is Nikola Jokic. There's no question about that. The guy averaged a triple-double. Number 2 is probably Giannis for just PRA, points, rebounds, and assists. It's probably Giannis. And then it's kind of the rest of the stats leave you a little bit hanging. But I will mess with Giannis. I will because I love his availability. I love his durability. I love his drive and motivation. Like the guy is a killer, and he really wants to play. And he's Wilt Chamberlain-esque. When you talk about 30, 12, and 6, which he did this year, and he's done like 6 or 7 years in a row, the only other guy to maintain those levels for this period of time is Wilt Chamberlain, bro. Like, so Giannis is... I mean, you do recognize and appreciate like the historical phenomenalness of Giannis, right?
Oh,
you're
he's
just talking
amazing.
fantasy.
He's incredible. And if your league plays free throws made instead of free throw percentage, you're good to go. So yeah, but he's always on the injury report, and he usually plays. But he's like Chris Paul for me. I'm always worried about his knee. It's just always something I'm worried about. I just let other people draft Giannis. I'm probably stupid for it, but it is what it is. Rick, I know you're not going to do it, so I'm going to take people behind the curtain here. This is our second go at this show today. That's the fire alarm in your apartment has been going off about every 3 minutes all morning. Some Gestapo just came and banged on your door and told you were good to go, and it went off again. So it may go off throughout the entire show. I love alarms. Like the alarm system in my phone is very intricate and um, drawn out, but I do not like smoke alarms going off, especially when I'm trying to do something like this.
Yeah, it's annoying. Thankfully, like this is like like when you're in a hotel, they've got that sort of that little red unit on the wall that everything is connected to, right? Like they push a button and whoop whoop, the whole hotel lights up, right? And then you've got the individual like circular fire alarm thing, right? Like the white plastic one, right? Thank God that one's not chirping because that's the when it chirp, 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 and then 2 hours chirp, chirp, and oh my God, like that's the stuff that makes you want to run and hide. Anyway, so Giannis is both of our fantasy MVPs. All right, Doc, let's move on to our next segment here. Players who surprised last year for the Bucks.
Trying to think. Kevin Porter Jr., when Damian Lillard went out, I thought was a little surprising. He was playing very good basketball. I think we saw what a good player he can be. He's opting out with the Nets, and he's getting away from Doc Rivers. Congratulations, KPJ. I'd love to see him go someplace like the Nets or Dallas, a team that doesn't really have a point guard. And, if TJ McConnell, if you dropped him into the middle of the Brooklyn Nets right now, he would be a savior for that team. He doesn't start because he plays behind Tyrese Halliburton. But that kid, as we saw in Game 3, has a motor. I think he could play for anybody. Can he start in the NBA? I don't know. Can Kevin Porter Jr. start? I think he can if he goes to a team like Brooklyn. So I was a little surprised by how good Kevin Porter Jr. looked when he played. I was a little surprised by how little Ryan Rollins did when he was giving that starting job near the end of the season. I kind of went the way of Ryan Rollins betting wise. I was like, I think he's going to be the man. Some other people went KPJ, and it was KPJ that was better fantasy player. So.
Well, it was a very fluid situation because Ryan Rollins had some games and he was stringing about 3 or 4 games together and was looking good. And then and he was starting, and this is right after Dame went out with the blood clots, and Kevin Porter Jr. was coming off the bench, Doc, playing 12 minutes, 13 minutes, 15 minutes. I mean, it was like he wasn't even on the radar yet. And then all of a sudden, KPJ just started really playing great in the small minutes, dude. Like 15 minutes, like a good stat line. And he forced Doc's hand. Doc had no intention of playing Kevin Porter Jr. more. I promise you, he was like, I got my guy Ryan Rollins. And Kevin Porter literally bogarted it, dude. And because he's a better player than Ryan Rollins. Stop it. He's way more talented than Ryan Rollins. Is he smarter? Is he a better point guard? I don't know about, but he's a better player. He's way more talented than Ryan Rollins. Kevin Porter Jr. has a 50-point game, bro. You know this. We all know this. He has a 50-point game. And I don't care if you do it in March when nobody's watching. You scored 50 in the NBA. You're a badass, dude. So yeah, I agree with you. Like, he does need to get outside of Doc because Doc puts a ceiling on him. There's a lid on him. He's not going to like really super pop with Doc Rivers. I mean, Doc maybe, but he's already kind of reportedly going to make the decision to opt out. Look, Milwaukee could re-sign him, Doc, and bring him back. That's not out of the realm of possibility. He's not guaranteed to play somewhere else, but you and I were frustrated with Doc's usage of Kevin Porter Jr., and if we were, then his family, his agent, and he probably are a little frustrated with that too. How about the Nets? The Nets don't have a point guard, dude. Kevin Porter Jr. would look kind of good in a Nets uniform, wouldn't he?
He sure would. I mean, that would be perfect. Land of misfit toys. He'd fit right in, and he'd probably ball out.
My guy. It is Rick Kamla, and it is Hall of Famer Steve Alexander here. We are the Fantasy NBA today. And did anybody else surprise me? I only have from here, I'll throw one guy out. AJ Green hitting 42.7% of his threes, 2.1 made on 5 attempts. That's pretty freaking good, dude. I mean, he averaged 7.4 points, not on the fantasy radar, but shout out to AJ Green. By the way, Doc Rivers loves AJ Green. Just know this. He is a primary rotational guy. Could even find his way into a starting five next year with Dame out, and we need shooting, and maybe, just maybe, but he'll be at least be a 20 to 24 minute bench guy for the Milwaukee Bucks this upcoming season. So let's move on to Doc. Let me tell people about the app, and then I want you to tell people who disappointed you for the Bucks. We're making huge investments, guys, over here at Sports Ethos, and a bunch of it has gone into the app. It's free. Go to your favorite app store, download the Sports Ethos app. All the latest news on NBA, NFL, and MLB. Take advantage of our fantasy basketball tools. Our app is your ultimate edge. Don't miss out. Doc, who disappointed you on the Bucks last year?
I got four guys. They're all lined up right in a row on the stat sheet. Kyle Kuzma, Bobby Portis, Brook Lopez, and our man Chris Middleton. I don't ever say anything nice about Chris Middleton. He came back that very first game and scored like 20 points, and you guys are like, here he comes. We're like, it's Chris Middleton, dude. It's not going to work. I never thought about picking him up. I'm not a Middleton guy. I don't like guys playing on one leg. Brook Lopez didn't really disappoint me. But I was disappointed in how inconsistent he was. He was like 3 good games, 3 bad games. And it was like that all year. And I just never felt comfortable with Brook Lopez. I don't feel like he ever really got comfortable. Bobby Portis was serviceable. He was fine. He did only make it through 49 games, though. That was disappointing. And he didn't really pop. I think we were all expecting for a little bit more out of Bobby Portis than the 14 points, 8 boards, and 0.5 blocks. And lastly, Kyle Kuzma. He is not. He does. He looked way better when he was a Washington Wizard, and he was kind of like the alpha, and he could just do whatever he wanted to do. The numbers weren't bad, and they also weren't bad when he was in with the Lakers a few years ago. But this version of Kuzma, 33 games, 14 points, 5 boards, 2 assists, 0.5, 0.4. Like, there was just nothing there. Like, you could take him or leave him. He made no difference on your fantasy team, and I just wasn't feeling it.
I wasn't either, dude. Kuzma you're so right about him, like being the role for him is an alpha on a bad team, like he was in Washington. Dude, he was like 20-8, like just cooking, right? I mean, and nobody really cared. It didn't really matter in the grand scheme, but it matters over here. These numbers are in the box score. They are NBA history, and they help us win championships. Kuzma is a role player on a good team surrounded by stars. Dude, my whole thing with Kuzma, because obviously playing behind LeBron and Davis, he won a ring in the bubble and all that kind of stuff. That was a great role for him. And I thought he was kind of going to go back into a similar role with Milwaukee. Here was my problem with Kuzma with Milwaukee. Doc, he didn't understand the assignment. Dude, you went to Milwaukee theoretically to make a chip run or a ring run, right? You got Giannis, you got Dame, like that's why they went to get Kuzma, is to make a run. And to me, he was just like going through the motions. Oh my God. He was going through the motions, bro. Like, I didn't feel Kuzma. He wasn't activated. He wasn't hustling around and buzzsawing, because he can be a good defensive player. He's long, and he's got some athleticism. So I just didn't like how laid back he was and how mellow he was. So, and Doc, we talked about it. I was geeked about that trade. When Milwaukee got Kuzma, I was like, great get for Milwaukee. They were one of the winners of the deadline for me, and it did not work out. He went 14.5 points, 5.6 rebounds, 2.2 assists, 0.9 combined defensive stats. 1.5 threes in 31.8 minutes. So that was, I thought Kuzma was going to play a lot better than that. And next year, I mean, let's talk about that, Doc. Like, I'm probably going to be on Kuzma, dude, because you're not going to have Dame. Giannis may be on another team. Like, Kuzma may actually be back in that alpha role on a bad slash rebuilding team. I actually might go back to Kuzma this year, dude.
You have fun with that because I'm out. I'm all the way out because here's the thing, Rick. Even when he was the alpha in Washington and he was putting up the decent numbers, no one really cared. And like you said, nobody really cared. Even in fantasy land, it was like, oh, he scored 22 points with 6.5 boards and 4 assists, 0.7 blocks, 0.5 steals, 2 threes. Like that's peak Kuzma. And even then, he was getting drafted late. He wasn't a hot commodity. So, yeah, I mean, if he is, if Giannis goes and Kuzma is the guy on this team, I'll look at him with one of my final draft picks. But I'm not putting Kuzma on any kind of list that is positive.
I understand, dude. I understand. The Bobby Portis thing also, Doc. Remember the suspension, 25 games for taking the painkiller Tramadol. That was hugely disappointing. I'm with you. Bobby Portis didn't have the year that I thought he was going to have, and it was a contract year, Doc. And we'll get to him, in his future here in a minute. But and I do like Bobby Portis. I'm a fan of the dude, and I'm a fan of his game. I love his motor. I love just the eyes, right? Like he's just so into it, man, and so intense. I'm a fan of Bobby Portis, dude. And then Gary Trent Jr. Was a disappointment to me. I actually, pardon me. I actually had a decent opinion on Gary Trent Jr. going into the year. Like he was a sleeper for me, thinking that he would be in a six-man type role, 28, 30 minutes, like in deep leagues, right? Not in like a 10-team Yahoo league, but in deeper leagues. Like I have my eye on Gary Trent Jr., great combination of steals and threes. And that was okay last year, Doc. 1 steal, 2.4 threes. All right. But he was 11 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. His PRA was 11, 2, and 1. Okay. That's about as bad as it gets. You can't use that. That's waiver wire stuff. I didn't think he was going to be a waiver wire guy. I thought he'd be like like your second to last player or your last player, right? But still viable. And it didn't work out that way. So those guys disappointed me. All right, Doc, offseason outlook for the Milwaukee Bucks. And this is where it's going to get really interesting. First of all, Doc, question, is this the summer of Giannis or not? Jake Fisher has said that the Giannis leaving Milwaukee stuff has cooled or stalled or whatever word he used. And so that kind of pours some water on this. But guys like you and me fan the flames of the summer of Giannis. So, like, what's the reality here? Will he be back on the Bucks next year, in your opinion?
I'm leaning that way. Yeah. This was supposed to be the summer of Kevin Durant. Well, I mean, I feel like me, you, Andre, and everybody else thinks he's going to the Spurs and it's like a done deal. So that would take the summer of Durant off the table. And now they're saying Giannis may stay in Milwaukee. That takes the summer of Giannis off the table. And then who does it become the summer of if it's not those two guys? There's one other guy, Rick, who's the other big one? I can't think who it is right now. But anyway, I kind of think he's staying there. What do you think?
I don't, man. I don't. I feel like the Giannis, the report about Giannis leaving Milwaukee is stalled. And I'm a fan of Jake Fisher. This is like nothing to him. All respect. But like a hotshot college quarterback. Okay, maybe he just won the Heisman. Maybe he just won the national championship. Or Cooper Flag, right? So when their season is over, what do they say? They say, I don't know. I may go back. I haven't made my decision yet, right? Think about Caleb Williams, right? The year he had at USC, and there was like the question, is he going to come back for another year or go pro? It was never, ever a question. These guys always leave and go take the bag as soon as they possibly can. Every time. And I'm talking when you're Cooper Flag, when you're Caleb Williams, when you're a top of the heap guy. They don't go back to school. So that's what this is to me. yeah, that's what's being reported now. But the actuality is, yeah, why would Giannis want to go back, dude? He always says, everything is about winning a championship. And he's not like James Harden who says that, and it means absolutely nothing. Because Harden loves to put the word championship and have it come out of his mouth. And I laugh and scoff every time. He should not be able to say the word championship. Literally, there should be a ban on James Harden using the word championship. But when Giannis says it, it's valid. He has a championship, and he does all the stuff to connect the dots to winning a championship. And he preaches it. It's all he wants. So why would you want to go back to Milwaukee? Hey, how you doing? Woo! If it was nighttime, maybe we'd turn it into a drinking game or something. But it's the morning here, so we're not doing all that kind of stuff.
I'm always down for a good drinking game. We should have you doing shots every time that thing goes off. Although then again, I want to be awake for Game 4 this evening. Yeah. We're recording this that day, but anyway, my guy, were saying.
So yeah, I think Giannis is going to be on another team. My call right now is the Knicks. I don't have intel on that. It's just a vibe. I kind of feel like the Knicks blowing out Thibodeau is the harbinger for a bigger move. Like maybe he didn't want to break it up, and the guys above him do want to break it up. Maybe they want to trade Cat. I don't know. I see change on the horizon for the New York Knicks. More change, I should say. I think the Thibodeau thing was just the first domino to fall. I think other dominoes will fall.
Did you see that thing I put on Twitter about how the New York Knicks have requested permission to speak with Richmond High School coach Carter, but were firmly denied? And
that's hilarious.
That's Samuel L. Jackson from that movie. It's pretty hilarious.
That's a good tweet, dude.
And then freaking Charles Barkley. It's like, how dumb can you be? Like, how do you fire Tibbs without having a plan in place? I don't know.
I mean, what can I say, dude? And oh my God. Here's the problem with the Knicks coaching search. It's the most arrogant coaching search I've ever seen in my life in any sport. Dude, the fact that this front office thinks that they can just poach rock star coaches from other teams, other contenders, like they wanted Chris Finch, Jason Kidd, Ime Udoka, like top of the heap guys. Hey, Leon Rose, just call Mickey Arison and ask him if you can interview Eric Spoelstra. Boom. I mean, they won't just hang up the phone. They'll say expletive you and hang up the phone. I mean, it's so delusional, bro. We're the big bad Knicks. All of these guys would want. No, they don't, bro. They don't want the media. They don't want to get whacked by your weird ass owner, Jim Dolan. That's not, I mean, it's a good job, but it's also a super treacherous job. But the Tibbs walked with $30 million guaranteed.
Well, the whole Rose thing combined with Jalen Brunson's dad, Rick Brunson, like, the vibe around that team sounds like it's really off because we've already heard like the only guy who knew his role and seemed like he was really happy was Brunson, and everybody else is like, we're just out there, helping him. Very weird. The whole New York, it was weird because the Knicks have been so quiet the last 2 or 3 years, like no drama. We don't even hear James Dolan's name anymore, right? And all of a sudden, boom, Tibbs gets whacked. And everybody's complaining about Brunson's dad, Rose, James Dolan's back. It's just more Knicks being Knicks. Knicks got a Nick.
Bro, meddling owners, they keep their team from winning. Vivek Ranadive, Sacramento Kings owner, is a meddling owner. Look at his team, bro.
Dude, people blame the Falcons 28-0 Super Bowl loss on Arthur. What's his name? Arthur
Blank.
Arthur Blank being down on the field, shaking everybody's hand before it was over. Stay up there in your suite, bro. Leave us alone.
I don't agree with that because he's on the field at the end of every game.
I'm just
That's
saying.
what he does. I covered the Falcons for 7 years on the
People
home of the
don't like
Falcons. 92-9 the game. Well, they're reaching at the wrong damn stuff. Okay, that was play calling, and it was play
not Arthur
calling.
Blank. It was not Arthur Blank.
It was Kyle Shanahan. Okay, literally could have taken a knee 3 straight times, not even run a play. Just have your quarterback take a knee. You trot out Matt Bryant, who was auto that year. You plunk in a field goal. You go up by 2 scores, and you win the Super Bowl. All you had to do. After that throw to Julio Jones on the sideline and that amazing catch, right? You were set up, dude. You just that play won the game. It won the game. Just run the ball. Or take a knee. And Bryant would have hit about a 45, 47-yarder, and you would have won the game. But they didn't. And Tom Brady's Tom Brady, brah. All right, so we are back on the Milwaukee Bucks here after a brief detour down Woe Is Me Atlanta Lane. By the way, the Monday on doing Atlanta radio, the Monday after that loss, bro, it was a funeral. I'm telling you, it was a funeral. People were crying. People were yelling. People were calling up and cussing. Callers don't call up and what the blah, blah, blah. They just don't, right? But they were that day. And so you just drop them immediately. We had a 7-second delay. Dude, that day was wild. Wild. And obviously that conversation went on for a long time. But I'll never forget that Monday, bro. I'll never forget that Monday. All right. Brolo is leaving Milwaukee, Doc. That's the reports here. So I don't want to see Brolo become a bench player. That's going to bum me out, dude. So that is what I'm looking for here with Brook. You said the Lakers. I want Brolo to go to the Lakers so freaking bad. I have Brook Lopez in the Cam Dynasty. He's helped me win chips. The guy just plays, man. He plays a million games, super available, even at his advanced age. I love the stat set. This year was weird from Brook Lopez. There's no doubt. There were nothing games and then pop games, and it was like a weird roller coaster on the stock market. Overall, the numbers still pretty good. But he fell out of favor with Doc Rivers. Okay, that led to a little bit less playing time, a little less shots, all that kind of stuff. Brought his numbers down. If you go to LA, I believe that they will appreciate you and love on you and put you back in that Brook Lopez role that he was in 2 years ago in Milwaukee. So that the spot I don't want Brolo to go, Doc, is Houston. Because there's talk that if Houston loses Steven Adams, that they would want to get Brook Lopez to be the backup to Alpi Şengün. That is woe is me, because that means I'm probably going to have to send Brook Lopez to the waiver wire. That's what I don't want to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a good call. Yeah, you and I, although I feel like there's new Brolos, like we don't have to rely on Brook Lopez anymore. There's plenty of centers that you and I think are reliable and under the radar that we can pick up late and they'll help our team. We don't really need Brook Lopez to be a superstar, but if he goes to LA and still has a big role for a team, I'll be happy to hook it up.
Oh, I'm gonna be bullish on Brolo if he goes to the Lakers, man. You're gonna want to slap my face so Brook Lopez stops coming out my mouth, man. Because I would be. But you're right. Okongwu, Pirtle, Alex Sarr, Zach Edey. I mean, dude, I can tell you right now, it is not going to be hard to field 2 stud centers next year. It is not. That's why I always say you got to grab forwards early, because you're going to be able to grab centers in round 7, 8, 9, 10. They're going to be there. Guys you like, they're going to be there. I promise. If Bobby Portis is kind of interesting, Doc. If he re-signs with Milwaukee, Giannis leaves, and let's say he's the new center and Brook Lopez leaves, right? Bobby Portis is your center, maybe Kyle Kuzma is your 4. Boom, Bobby Portis will be a pop player. Wow, back to back that time. That was a fun, interesting twist, like some funky jazz. Oh, I wish. I want to tell you about sportsethos.com. All the work and all of our brilliant minds are available at sportsethos.com. Go there, buy it, love it, hug on it, okay? And spend some cash. Get a subscription. It's the prices are as low right now as they'll ever be. Our grandfather programs make your subscription price incredibly cheap as we keep adding more and more value to the platform, because we're in this together. We want to help you win, guys, and we do it via sportsethos.com. Check out our work over there. All right, players to watch here, Doc, as we move forward to the 25-26 season. We talked about a lot of stuff here, but maybe anything we haven't talked about. But what do you have your eye on moving forward for the Bucks?
I mean, you mentioned Doc Rivers' love for AJ Green. I think that's worth monitoring. I think Ryan Rollins, the role he got last year, even though he didn't really do what we wanted him to do, he's young enough that there's still time. I think those are probably the two guys that I care about as far as the future goes. But am I going to be reaching or making sure I have them on my team? No.
For me, Doc, it's Kevin Porter Jr. Is he going to be back? Where is he going? It's Kyle Kuzma. Are you kind of the last man standing if they tear the thing down? Bobby Portis, do they bring you back and set you up in a primetime role where you will be a major fantasy basketball sleeper? So Portis, Kuzma, and Kevin Porter Jr., and two of those three guys might not even be on this team. But as we sit right now, they're obviously still, we're approaching free agency here. But that's what I'm watching with the Milwaukee Bucks. So, Doc, let's move on to your team, the Los Angeles Clippers. You loved them last year. You had 1 million of their players on your team. You had a big Norman Powell opinion that paid off very nicely for you. But we start with fantasy MVP. Who might be Norman Powell? Who is your fantasy MVP for the Clips last year?
Oh boy. I mean, this is one of those situations where it could be one of 4 people, possibly, because Ivica Zubac was very good. Norman Powell scored 22 points a game and was really surprising. James Harden was a baller. I loved him. I'm going to go with James Harden. I was thinking about giving it to Kawhi Leonard, but I can't do it, man. Kawhi's not I'm not a Kawhi guy. I'm just not. I'm going to go James Harden. 79 games, 23 points, 6 boards, 9 assists, steal and a half, almost a block, tons of threes, horribly inefficient. Like, the shooting was dreadful. But yeah, I love James Harden. He carried a few of my teams, including, I think he carried my 30 deep team.
Yeah, James Harden's the fantasy MVP, dude. For me, he is. He was an all-star this year, and in a lot of ways reclaimed his status in the league, Doc, because, the Philly thing, the flame out with Morey, like, his reputation was taking hits, and then last year happened. He's in his mid-30s. He's still killing it, man. Still a really good player in the regular season. Interesting summer decision for James Harden ahead, okay? He's got an option on his contract. We'll get into that when we talk offseason outlook for the LA Clippers later on in the show. But the numbers from James Harden are pretty crazy. 23, 6, and 9. I mean, come on, dude. You mentioned it. Almost a block, steal and a half, 3 threes. The fantasy gold, that's 5.2 fantasy gold digits per game, well, which is beyond elite. And Doc, I want a little public service announcement for James Harden. Dude, shoot 25% if you want. I don't care. You give me those counting numbers, knock yourself out, bro. You can go down to the Michael Carter Williams 38-39% range. You can. Who else? Oh God, what was the kid's name? Oh my God. He played for Memphis. Oh, I'm not going to be able to pull this, and it's just going to kill me. Oh, I can see the player, But the guy was always in the 30s with field goal percentage. He played college ball at Memphis. He was kind of like an NBA gunner for a hot minute, and then like flamed out. God bless America. I can't think of his name. Too many concerts, bro. But I want to also give a shout out to James Harden, dude. Because Doc, with Cam Dynasty, I talk about LeBron a lot, Brolo, Cade Cunningham, Evan Mobley, all this kind of stuff. Dude, I took James Harden in the inaugural startup draft as sort of an aging player with his future like in flux. Bro, what a draft pick that was, man. This guy has been, Doc, he doesn't miss games, bro. Like, actually, I think he did miss like a month last year, but it was a significant injury. I don't have his game log in front of me. But the guy plays.
He played in 79 games.
Last year or this year?
Oh, this year he played 79. The year before, I don't know.
I think he missed a chunk last year, but it was like a legit injury. He's not like a Brandon Ingram, one of these soft tissue paper dudes. Like, but anyway, shout out to James Harden, man. Literally has helped to power back-to-back chips in the Cam Dynasty. So I wanted to shout him out.
When he was in Brooklyn, it did feel like his career was winding down, and like this is the end. But man, he was a rock star for the Clippers this year. And I feel like I was looking at Harden and like Paul George around the same time in the draft. Like, give me Harden every single time. I'm never ever drafting Paul George again.
Former Clipper, we're on the Clippers. By the way, shout out to Lawrence Frank and Steve Ballmer. Doc, they let Paul George go, and they got nothing in return, bro. So I did not like that part of that transaction because they gave up like 7 picks to OKC and like SGA, okay, like to get Paul George. And then you get nothing in return. But guess what? It worked. Okay, they were like 4th or 5th in the West last year. Like they were able to make it work. And we saw Paul George in Philly play like 5 games. And so that actually was... It ultimately was an L for the Clippers, right, Doc? Because you gave up all that stuff. You didn't win a championship with Paul George. He was a total disappointment in your uniform. But so you cut your losses, and now you're moving on in a very bright direction. So that was actually some pretty svelte GMing by my boy Lawrence Frank. By the way, one of the greatest cussers of all time, Lawrence Frank. I love Lawrence Frank. Love him, dude. Worked with him at NBA TV. We developed a little bit of a friendship because he's such a cool freaking dude. Dude, he has turned the F word into an art form, bro. I'm telling you, it's hilarious. When you're in the back in the green room and in the makeup room and like when you're on set in between segments, dude, he is hilarious, man. Shout out to Lawrence Frank, dude. Oh, man.
That's
all
good.
Right, players who surprised Doc for the Clippers last year.
Well, you just mentioned svelte GM moves, and I had one last year in going all in on Norman Powell. You already mentioned it. He didn't surprise me, and I thought that's what he was going to do. I was disappointed and surprised that he missed 22 games, and that kind of derailed his whole vibe at the end of the season because when he came back, he wasn't as good as before he left. But man, 22 points. He had 3 boards, 2 assists. He had a steal. Didn't turn the ball over. Hit a bunch of threes. His prop over under was always at 2.5. He was, really good 3-point shooter. So Norman Powell was surprising and fun. I was very surprised by Kawhi Leonard. He came back for the final half of the season, 37 games, and pretty much played in all those games, played hard in all those games, put up big numbers in all those games. And he kind of got off to a slow start and built on it. And then once he hit the plateau, it was just game on the rest of the season. So he was really nice. And then, of course, Ivica Zubac, man, 80 games, 17 points, 12.5 boards, and 1.1 blocks. That guy, borderline all-star, had a great season. Did anybody else really surprise me on that team? No. I was surprised at how bad Bogdan Bogdanovic was and how insignificant he has become as a fantasy player. But other than that, fun team, fun year.
I have Zubats written down as well, Doc. Clippers who surprised. What a year, man. What a year. 16.8 points, 12.6 rebounds, 1.1 blocks, 0.7 steals, 80% field. No, that's 80 games, 63% field. Not that I care. But, I mean, 17 and almost 13 from Ivica Zubats. Wow. Good for him, man. He got paid. Remember, he had an ascension last year, then got paid in the offseason, almost $20 million a year, by the way, and which now looks like a really nice team-friendly deal, and then went out and did that. So very, very psyched about Ivica Zubats. Doc, he's another center, like you said. We love Brolo, the combo of blocks and threes, and Zubats doesn't do that, right? But he's an awesome double-double guy, super efficient. He does block 1+. So he's a guy in those later rounds, the tier 2, the tier 3 centers. I mean, again, there's a million of them. You are not going to have a hard time. Don't feel this, like back in the day, it was different. You felt, oh my God, I got to get centers. And centers were the big boys. That's where the stats were. Now the stats are more with the wings. Obviously, Embiid and Jokic are outliers of that, but the game has drifted from inside to outside, and so now the outside guys do most of the stat stuff. Back in the day, it was inverted, and it was the big, so you had to get Shaq and Hakeem and Pat Ewing, and you had to get those guys. Because if you were rocking Rick Smits and you're going up against Shaq, that was not going to go well for you back in the 90s of fantasy basketball. And yes, we go back that far. That's why we're the GOATs. That's why we're the OGs. Hall of Famer Steve Alexander, Rick Kamla. We're the Fantasy NBA today. We have our awesome producer, Andre Lemouche, lurking with us as well. Norman Powell, Doc, he was an all-star snub. Not the biggest. It was Domantas Sabonis. So many people, Norman Powell should have made the all-star team. I'm over here like, does anybody know who Domantas Sabonis is? Dude, like, is anybody paying any attention to Domantas Sabonis? They act like he doesn't exist. Norman Powell over Domantas Sabonis, who had a historic stat. Give me a break, dude. But he was an all-star snub. I didn't see that happening, Doc. Almost 22 points a game. You went through the stats. And, dude, you and I both we're high on Norman Powell. You more than me, but I had him as a sleeper too. I like Norman Powell. I got shares of Norman Powell. I thought he was going to be 18, 19, maybe 20 a game. I didn't think he'd be at 22 a game. And in the pre-Kawhi games, he was at like 24 a game. Are we on players that disappointed yet, or are we getting there now?
Those were our surprises.
All right, so players who disappointed on the Clippers. You go first, brother.
Well, I said I was surprised at how bad Bogdanovich was. Bogdan, whatever. I'm sure Andre will correct me.
Just call him Bogey, bro.
I thought I was a little disappointed in Derrick Jones Jr. I always feel like I can rely on him to do some cool stuff. And just keep him at the end of my roster in a deeper league. But he really didn't do much last year. The year prior, I felt like Amir Coffey was sort of becoming a reliable guy, but he wasn't. He was the guy that took the hit from the Norm Powell explosion. And then Chris Dunn, started 58 games, played a big role on that team, but he doesn't return much fantasy value on the way back. So I wasn't hugely disappointed in anyone other than Bogey, but I wasn't blown away by anybody either.
So there weren't a lot of disappointments on this team. I would say mine was Bogey Bogdanovich. Doc, he went from, we just finished the 24-25 season. In the 23-24 season, Bogey was still a viable fantasy player, giving you mid-teens in the points, 2 to 3 threes, and over a steal per game. Not really anything else, pretty much points, threes, and steals for Bogey. I mean, an end-of-your-roster type of guy, but still a rosterable player. He fell off a cliff, dude, and now he's just a bench player in the NBA. There were even some moments where a guy was out or whatever, and he still didn't pop in those games. And yes, he had a couple of splashy games. Every squirrel finds a nut. If you're going to play, you're going to have some occasional games where you're feeling it and it's going down for you. But he's way off the fantasy radar right now. He is just a distant bench player, waiver wire guy. He will not be in the B150. The great Aaron Bruschi puts the 150 together. The B150. I'd be shocked if Bogey Bogdanovic is in the B150, which means he's basically undraftable. So let's move on to offseason outlook, dude, and let's get into James Harden before we get into some other stuff here. James Harden, will he pick up his player option? He's entering the second year of a 2-year, $70 million contract. Do you think he will pick up that option, Doc, and stay with the Clippers, or do you think he will opt out?
That's a great question. I don't know. I don't know the answer. I haven't been reading up on my off-season James Harden news feed. I mean, based on the season he had, he can probably make more money than that, right? But I think he likes the Clippers. I think he likes LA. I think he's happy where he is. He's content. I feel like he's probably made enough money throughout his career that it shouldn't matter that much to him at this point. I'm going to say he stays.
I'm going to give you a combo answer. I'm going to say he opts out, but he stays. The reports are, Doc, that he is expected to opt out of his player option of $36.3 million and seek a new long-term contract. And the report is that it's likely to align with Kawhi Leonard's contract. So, James Harden at the level he was last year is underpaid at $35 million. I think we can all agree with that. That's a max player stat line that he put up last year. And you remember that was the whole thing with him and Daryl Morey in Philadelphia, is Harden wanted max, Morey didn't want to give him max, and that's why that fallout happened, and that's why he had to go to another team. And obviously now you're coming out of wreckage, and it was a really good deal. 2 years, $70 million. Come in here, kick ass, and reclaim and your reputation and that kind of thing. And now James Harden's in a great spot, dude, with a ton of leverage. Coming off an all-star season. He can opt out of this. But, Doc, I don't think think about it. Look around the league, dude. Look around the league. Who needs James Harden? Very, very few teams need a James Harden. It's probably like Brooklyn, but they're not going to go back to James Harden, right? You know what I'm saying? That door's closed. So he needs to stay in LA, get a raise from Steve Ballmer, align your contract with Kawhi, and that's it. That's it. So I think he will be with the Clippers, Doc, but I do think he'll opt out to get more money. So we both think that James Harden will stay static with his role next year, and that it sounds very good to me.
Would you be comfortable giving 35, soon to be 30? He'll be 36 in August. Are you comfortable giving him a long-term contract?
I got 2 years and $80 million for you.
All right.
I got it's a raise. It's $5 million more a year, but you're in your mid-30s. It's gone haywire with other organizations. I'm not going 2 years and $100 million on James Harden. I'm not giving him 50 a year. Doc, I don't have to. Think about this. Will any other team in the NBA pay James Harden $40 million a year?
I don't know. Probably not.
I don't think so. I don't think there's one team. I don't think there's one team in the NBA outside of the Clippers that would pay him $40 million. So if I'm the Clippers, I'm like, cool, knock yourself out. Go shopping, bro. We'll be over here.
Playoff big game James, and championship Chuck. You heard Chuck say, I don't know why they call him playoff P. I know I told that the other day. He don't win the playoffs. That's like calling me championship Chuck.
Oh, it's so great that he can laugh about that. I know.
So good.
Dude, when Shaq gets into him, when he starts talking about, I got 4, you got none. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I've been in on those conversations, dude. I see the smoke start to just pour out of Barkley's ears and nostrils. I'm telling you, dude. Deep down inside, He's got a phenomenal life, dude. But deep down inside, that's a little missing piece for Chuck, man. I wish he would have gotten that chip back in '92 with the Suns, bro. That was their year, bro. Dude, Jordan was so greedy, man. He had to have it all. He couldn't share with nobody, man. Not even his own teammates. He took 30 damn shots a game. I'm not hating on Jordan. Please trust me. I'm not hating on Jordan.
I was watching The Last Dance this at 4 a.m. this morning for some reason. I got locked into episode 9 and 10, and just Jordan's just so funny. He's like, "Oh yeah, I put that guy. He went on the list. Like I have my list of my guys. Jordan had a list of guys that he was going to go get, and Brian Russell. Poor Brian Russell was on that list." And he paid.
Dude, he's the all-time predator in any sport that we have in America. There's never been a greater killer than Michael Jordan. I mean, an absolute grizzly bear, lion, and tiger and cougar all wrapped into one human being, man. Killer.
And he's so pissed that they didn't let him go for 7. Just keep us together for one more year. Let us try one more year. And then blow it up. Nope. He's still mad about it. Like he loses sleep at night because he didn't go for 7 because Reinsdorf blew it up before the season started.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but that dude, The Last Dance, bro, it came out during the pandemic when there was no sports, but we in sports were still paid to cover sports. Dude, we covered those shows on NBA radio as if it was a game, like what he said and creating segments of it. Like it was insane. It like really nerdy, but we had to do it, man. We had to create content somehow. I'm telling you, The Last Dance is the clutchest doc of my life. It helped us bridge the gap until hoops came back, man. All right, Amir Coffey is a free agent. He's the only free agent, other than Harden, of some kind of significance. They draft 30th overall in the draft. Now, players to watch. You mentioned Kawhi Leonard. I didn't talk about him very much, so let's talk about Kawhi a little bit here in greater detail. His numbers were absolutely fantastic when he played, Doc, and you know this. 21, 6, and 3. Not the old school 25 PPG line, but 21, 6, and 3 is really solid. 0.5 blocks, 1.6 steals is elite, 2.1 threes, all very, very good. 50, 41, 81, super efficient again. 37 games played 32 minutes. And he started playing back-to-backs. Okay, so all of that is super encouraging. His ADP, Doc, for this upcoming season is between 58 and 60. Okay, so let's call it 60. 60 is the 5th round, all right, in a 12-team kind of format. Are you comfortable taking Kawhi Leonard in the 5th round? That's at value. Are you comfortable doing that?
As much as I feel like he's back and he, like I was comfortable. If I would have had him last year, I would have been super pleased. And you mentioned he didn't score 25 a game, but I think that's because Norman Powell and James Harden were playing next to him, and they were scoring a ton of points, and so was Zubac. So I think he's still got it in him. I'm not drafting Kawhi Leonard. He's on my do not draft list. I just can't do it based on history, but he really impressed me this season.
I agree with everything you're saying. I will just add this addendum. If knowing that 5th round is ADP value for Kawhi Leonard, and historically, me and Doc, most of you know, he's been a 2nd round guy, a 3rd round guy, and usually overdrafted based on the games that he misses. But Doc, if he falls to round 6 or round 7, and I don't think that'll happen, but if he falls to round 6 or round 7, he is going to be a blinking light on my draft board, and I may take him at that point. But I don't want to take him at value because I'm so worried about the injuries. And like Doc, he is virtually on my look, he's not as on my never draft again list as Zion Williamson and Ja Morant. They're in freaking the penalty box with me, dude. Kawhi's not. Kind of like Kyrie. Kyrie sort of ascended out of that because he used to be in that situation as well. So that's where I'm at with Kawhi Leonard. And who is the Clippers' backup point guard? Will they get a big name? I'm kind of watching for that as well. Doc, anything else on the Clippers, or are we going to get out of here?
I think we're done.
Guys, we love you. Go to sportsethos.com, subscribe to our work. The football guys, the baseball guys, the basketball guys, we're all kicking ass. We're the best in the biz. We'll grandfather you in with your rate right now. It'll never go up on you. As we add value to the platform, it'll create more value for you. And go to your favorite app store and download the Sports Ethos app. It's free and it's badass. For Hall of Famer Steve Alexander, for our great producer Andre Lemouche, BITB equals best in the biz. I'm Rick Kamla, and we are the Fantasy NBA Today. This episode's been brought to you by BetOnline.